auch noch ein paar Worte sagen. Und zwar, heute machen wir es auf Englisch. Ich wollte einfach nur auch sagen, ein bisschen erzählen über die Geschichten, die wir machen. Die erste Geschichte ist Zacchaeus. Es ist von einer französischen Kinderbuchautorin, die extra nach Wien gekommen ist, um diesem Konzert und das Konzert morgen beizuwohnen. Es ist Nathalie Dieterle und sie ist hier vorne. Die Musik stammt von Hui Ranbu. Er kommt aus Taiwan und ist schon mehrere Jahre hier in Wien wohnhaft. Gut, wir fangen einfach an. Viel Spaß, viel Vergnügen.
Zacchaeus and his very little tune, a tale from Africa.
Village is celebrating. There's rhythmic music and their holy songs. Old and young alike are calling the rain with their chanting. From all around, hands are tapping, clapping, and drumming. Tom, ta, tom, tom. Zacchaeus taps too. Taps on the side of the drum. He also wants to make the big drum sing. But to reach the top of the drum is just too small. Smaller than his sister, Ititi. Smaller than the monkey, Kokodi. And even smaller than the smallest bush. So Zacchaeus decides to make his own instrument. Small, like himself. His instrument plays a very little tune. Everybody makes fun of Zacchaeus and his tiny little instrument. Only the animals like his little tune. Dancing to the drums. Even the forest is dancing to the drums. Zacchaeus doesn't dance or sing. He sits all by himself with his tiny little instrument that everybody makes fun of. Splish, splash, the rain is coming. But the rhythm is too strong. It begins to pour. And mosquitoes invade the village. They're everywhere. In between people's toes. Behind their ears. The entire village must flee to find shelter in the forest. Whatever shall we do? Everybody cries. I have an idea, says Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus is very small, and nobody hears him. The village elders gather to think. The drums brought the rain. The rain brought the mosquitoes. The frogs will eat the mosquitoes, they say. From everywhere, frogs are brought back to the village. And soon, there's not a single mosquito left. The Bamilekes dance and celebrate. But what is this? The frogs multiply. Croak, croak, croak. They're everywhere. In the bamboo, in the bush, in all the huts. They do not want to leave. Whatever shall we do? Everybody cries. I have an idea, says Zacchaeus. But Zacchaeus is very small, and nobody hears him. The medicine man sits down to think about it. The drums brought the rain. The rain brought the mosquitoes. The frogs ate the frogs ate the mosquitoes. The snakes will eat the frogs, he says. From everywhere, snakes are drawn to the village, and soon there's not a single frog left. Everybody celebrates. But the snakes are everywhere, under the carpets, in all the beds. They do not want to leave. Whatever shall we do? Everybody cries. Nobody knows. The village elders don't know. The medicine man doesn't know either. Everybody becomes very depressed and quiet. In the complete silence, there's suddenly the sound of a very little tune. The tune goes, zee-zoo. The hissing snakes come out of their hiding places, crawl in between the huts, and follow Zacchaeus deep into the forest. When he returns, everybody celebrates. And this time, Zacchaeus dances with everyone. The men take their drums. The women shake their bells. Zacchaeus takes his little instrument, and all together they make the most wonderful concert ever heard in the Bamileke village.
geht gleich weiter. Das nächste Märchen kommt aus Annaleas Heimatland, Island. Der Name ist nicht White Parrot, but Bukatla. Genau. Sie hat sehr schöne Erinnerungen. Soll ich das alles lesen? Sie hat sehr schöne Erinnerungen von diesem Märchen, weil ihre Oma dieses Märchen vom Bukatla sicher 100 Mal erzählt hat. Und jedes Mal war es bestimmt gleich so spannend. Die Musik von Bukatla hat Helmut Neumann komponiert und er ist auch heute erschienen. Auch er hat das Märchen sehr gut gekannt, weil seine Frau Isländerin ist. Und die Bilder sind von Judäen Weichselbaum. Und sie ist auch heute da. Genau dort. Bukatla, eine Geschichte aus Island. Once upon a time, there lived a poor farmer with his wife in the countryside in Iceland. They had a cow named Bukatla that they loved dearly. And a son that they weren't all too fond of. And no wonder, the cow was absolutely lovely. She had a beautiful red coat with snow-white patches and gave plenty of creamy milk every day when the farmer's wife came to milk her. The son, on the other hand, gave no milk at all and was rather plain to look at. One morning, when the farmer's wife went to Bukatla's stable, she found, to her horror, that the cow was gone. The farmer and his wife were both quite distressed about this unfortunate event, but quickly decided that their son should immediately be off to look for her. They gave him a pair of new shoes and a loaf of bread and sent him on his way.
poor boy, of course, had no idea where to go. But the sun was shining so brightly, and the sky was so blue, and the birds were singing so clearly, that he couldn't help but feel quite positive about the whole affair. He decided to simply follow his nose and see where it took him. After a short while, he reached the top of the hill. And feeling quite hungry, decided to have a slice of bread. After eating, he stood up and called out at the top of his lungs, "Move for me, my dear sweet Bukutla, if you want me to find you." And lo and behold, he heard a faint moo. But still from a great distance. The boy continued on his journey. But after some time, dark clouds gathered overhead, and soon he began to feel the first drops of rain on his face. A storm was approaching. If he didn't hurry now, he would be caught up in it. And so he began to run and run and run as fast as he could. After reaching the top of the next hill, the boy shouted again, as loudly as he could. "Move for me, my dear sweet Bukutla, if you want me to find you." And indeed, again he heard the cow's answering call. But this time, it already seemed much closer. The boy's joy at being so close to finding the family cow quickly turned to dismay when he glanced up at the sky, now covered in black, menacing clouds. All of a sudden, lightning flashed, and the huge peal of thunder sounded. The boy began running frantically. He ran and ran and ran until, soaked to the bone and fighting his way through the slippery mud, he reached the top of the next hill. For the third time, he shouted, exhausted and frantic, but still confident in finding Bukutla very soon. Move for me, my dear sweet Bukutla, if you want me to find you. And almost immediately, he heard her loudly and clearly, "Moo! And was shocked to realize that her call came from beneath him. The boy ran down the hill and around it and spotted a door. that nearly made his heart freeze in terror. An enormous troll woman and her younger sister troll sitting there by the fire. But he also saw Bogotla tied to a pole in the corner of the troll's cave. The boy quickly snuck inside and found a hiding place without being noticed by the trolls. There the boy sat and waited and waited and waited until the trolls just got up and went right straight out the door. The boy seized the moment, got up, and untied Bogotla. Very happy she was to see him. And the two of them ran out of the cave as fast as their feet and hooves could carry them. But after pausing to catch their breaths, they looked back and saw the two trolls chasing after them and quickly gaining ground with every huge troll-sized step. In panic, the boy turned to Bogotla and cried, "What shall we do?" "Take a hair from my tail and lay it lengthwise on the ground," replied the cow. Too scared to be shocked that his cow just spoke to him, the boy obeyed. Plucked a long hair from Bogotla's tail and laid it lengthwise on the ground. The hair magically turned into a raging river, so large that nothing could possibly cross it, except perhaps a bird. Arrived at the river, the larger troll turned to her younger sister and said, "Run home and fetch father's great bull." The younger sister did as she was told. In just a few moments, returned with an enormous bull. They led the huge bull to the water, and he gulped down the entire river as if it were nothing but a cup of tea. In terror, the boy again turned to Bogotla and cried, "What shall we do now, my dear sweet Bogotla? If they catch us, they will eat us for sure." Again, the cow replied calmly, "Take a hair from my tail and lay it lengthwise on the ground." The boy quickly did as he was told, plucked a hair out of her tail and laid it lengthwise on the ground, and this time the hair transformed itself into an enormous fire, so large that nothing could possibly get past it, except perhaps a bird. The trolls, however, laughed at the boy and his cow. "You think this will stop us?" They led the huge bull to the fire, and the bull peed out all the water it had just drunk onto the fire and extinguished it immediately. "Oh no! Whatever shall we do now?" sobbed the boy to Bukutla. Because the trolls, yes, the trolls were gaining ground. Again, Bukutla answered, "Take a hair from my tail and lay it lengthwise on the ground. For the third time, the boy or lady plucked a hair out of her tail and laid it lengthwise on the ground. This time, the hair turned into an enormous mountain. And this mountain was so big that nothing could possibly get past it. Except for that little bird, of course. The big troll woman didn't even blink. Run home and fetch father's big drill. The girl returned quickly with a huge drill, and the trolls drilled a hole into the mountain and began crawling through. But the trolls had acted too hastily. And first, the one, and then the other troll got stuck in the mountain. They shouted and wiggled and screamed and kicked, but it was no use. They couldn't get back out. The boy, being quite polite, if not all too attractive, thanked Bukutla again and again. And so, the two of them got home, safely and soundly, where the grateful farmer and his wife were waiting for both of them. Though mostly for the cow. All four of them lived happily ever after. They say that the two trolls are still trying to free themselves from this mountain in Iceland. Are you up for another story? Jetzt kommt mein kleiner Spickzettel nochmal. Also das letzte Märchen ist aus Thailand. Und die Musik ist kommt aus Kanada, ist von Emily Doolittle. Und
Die Bilder stammen von eigentlich meiner Tante aus den USA. Kathy Riddle. Also viel Spaß mit Why the Parrot Repeats Human Words. Long ago, it was not the parrot which humans kept as a household companion, but the crow. The crow was quick and bright, and could easily repeat human words. What's more, he could use human words to express his own thoughts. Human and crow passed their days in lively conversation. One was seldom seen without the other. Saw his neighbor's goat in his field. It was a fine goat, young, fat, and lively. The farmer wanted it. Instead of returning the goat, as you or I would have done, he took the goat for himself. He killed the goat. He cooked it. He ate his fill. The rest he hid under the bed. When the neighbor came looking for her goat, the farmer played innocent. Said the goat he took wasn't hers. Said he didn't take the goat he saw. Said he'd never seen a goat anyway. But the crow called out. He killed the goat. He caught the meat. He ate his fill. The rest he hid under the bed. The neighbor looked under the bed. There she comes, the sad remains of her goat. The farmer again played innocent. Said he had seen no goat. Said the meat was that of another animal.
said it wasn't meat. Said he hadn't put it there anyway. And again, the crow called out. He killed the goat. He cooked the meat. He ate his fill. The rest is his own. The neighbor decided to take the matter to court. This worried the farmer. What if the judge listened to the crow? What if the farmer got caught in his own lies? He sat down to think. He thought, and thought, and thought, until he had devised a cunning plan. Night came. The moon rose. The stars shone. The farmer took a large brass pot and placed it over the head of the sleeping crow. He dripped water on the pot, first slowly, then faster, and faster, until it sounded like rain. Then he began pounding on the pot, first quietly, then louder, and louder, and louder, until it sounded like thunder. He kept this up all night and removed the pot only as the first rays of the sun were about to peak over the horizon. When the sun had risen high in the sky, the farmer, the neighbor, and the crow set off in solemn procession to the courthouse. The farmer went first, then the neighbor, then the crow. When they arrived, they seated themselves on the floor and awaited the arrival of the honored judge. The judge asked the farmer for his story. He asked the neighbor and found that there were few points of agreement between the two. asked the crow to tell what he had seen. The crow looked uneasy. He cleared his throat. He ruffled his feathers. He shuffled his feet. He paced back and forth. He looked around for an escape. He wanted to protect his friend the farmer, but found that he was unable to tell a lie. He stumbled, he coughed, he choked, but try as he might, he could not hold back the words, could not stop himself from calling out. He killed the goat, he cooked the meat. He killed the goat, he cooked the meat. He killed the goat, he cooked the meat. He ate his fill. The rest he hid under the tent. As the judge raised his hammer to pronounce the farmer's guilt, so the judge asked, and the crow replied, last night was a fearsome storm. The rain poured, and the thunder roared, and it didn't let up until dawn. The farmer smiled. He looked at the judge. He asked, remember last night? How clear it was. How the moon rose, how the stars shone. Would you really take the bird's word above mine? The judge apologized. I almost let this lying bird destroy your reputation. He's dangerous, deceitful, not to be trusted. We have cared for Crow, have fed him, have welcomed him into our homes, and this is how he treats us. Let our companionship now be ended. Crow went to live in the forest, saddened by the loss of his human friends. To this very day, he wears black feathers as a symbol of his mourning. Time passed, and Crow became comfortable living in the wild. Though the pain of the betrayal never left him entirely, he thought less and less often of his life among humans. One day, he saw a new bird in the forest. She was brilliant, green, and red, and sang a song Crow had never heard before. I am Parrot, she said. I speak the language of humans, and have come from far away to be their companion. Welcome, said Crow.
But please heed my warning. I, too, spoke human language, and for many years was humans' favorite friend. Humans housed me and gave me food, and we were together all our waking hours. We spoke together freely. We shared our thoughts, our secrets, our best ideas. For many years our friendship flourished. But when my word clashed with a human lie, they threw me out. If you want to be welcome in the human household, repeat only what humans tell you. Never voice your own opinion. And so it happened that humans invited Parrot to be their new companion. Parrot, ever mindful of Crow's advice, has been careful to repeat only what humans say to her, and to keep her own wise counsel to herself.